Welcome back to React Native Radio Podcast. Brought to you by the U.S. holiday Memorial Day, where us Americans celebrate our fallen heroes by getting very drunk on a boat and or a beach. Episode 333, Expo Atlas with Cedric van Putten. I hope it's Putten. If not, I'm sorry.
Before every recording, I have to sit here and kind of get my head in the game, I guess. And I was just talking with my co-host here and our guest about how it kind of resembles when I get ready for my hockey game, like when I'm in the net. And I'm actually curious, Mazen, do you have kind of a similar routine where when you're sitting there ready to start your hockey game? Sorry, your soccer game. Yeah, you play soccer, football. Do you have a routine? Are you looking out over the field, kind of doing something, or do you just kind of it's good to go?
It's kind of weird. My routine always started the night before a game. Even though if I knew I wasn't playing, I was hurt or whatever, I just still did my routine. I'll keep it short because it was very long and complicated.
See, this is the difference between a professional and an amateur. I do my routine once I'm in net, ready to drop the puck. Okay, all right, Mazen, give us yours.
I tried it even when I was coaching too, and I was like, this is too much. I got to cut it somewhere. So the day before, I always did either movie theater or at home. I got a haircut day of the game. I usually did a morning stretch with music in the background. I listened to techno a lot, even up until now. And then once we got to the field, usually around 2 hours before the game, I'd kind of walk around the field with music on, but it's just walking around, just kind of getting a feel for the field, usually in my socks. So no shoes on. Okay.
So actually getting a feel, you're feeling it.
Yep, yeah. Exactly. And there were just some times when, if the weather was nice, actually, I just sit in the goal area.
Yeah.
And just listen to music and chill for a little bit until the coach is like, all right, time to get changed and get ready. So it's kind of just lose myself in the moment, essentially, not to quote Eminem here. But yeah, so that was pretty much it. And in the locker room, I usually took my headphones off and interacted with the team, talked about our strengths, or even just kind of coached ourselves building up into it to when the coach came, and then, you're on the field for warm-ups. So very step by step, and I never veered off of it. And if I veered off of it, the one time when I was coaching and I stopped that routine, I was terrified that game. I was like, this is going to be a horrible game. We won, and I kept having to tell myself it's fine, it's okay. And it's just something that you manufactured in your head, I guess. But yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if this holds true for you, but I've learned that my intuition before a game is actually not usually very accurate as far as how I'm going to play. Mm-hmm. I've been super not prepared, felt off mentally, and then gone out and gotten a shutout. And then I've felt really good and gone out and just gotten destroyed. It doesn't totally hold that way. It's not it's opposite, but it's more I don't know. It's the game is just so circumstantial, Mm-hmm. But I do think that a routine is important, not just for sports, but for a lot of different things.
Yeah. And the goalie position, you get peppered a lot, whether it's soccer, football, hockey. And the one thing I always told the players that I coached, and I try to tell myself in the game, is you have to have the memory of a goldfish. Forget the goal you just conceded, reset, and start over, because the game's not going to stop for you to beat yourself up on it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Totally. Yeah. It helps that I already had a memory like a goldfish. I didn't have to develop that. So Robin, you've done a lot of you've done performances, especially playing, I think, cello, right? You played cello mostly?
That's right.
Was it cello? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Did you have a routine?
No, it was just sheer terror every time.
That's a routine?
I never got over it.
No, you never got over it. Okay. Just sheer terror. I love it.
Terror.
That's great. Okay, and Cedric, our guest, not my son Cedric. Well, kind of my son Cedric. I call him my son Cedric.
I'm your second son.
Yeah, my Dutch son. Okay, so Cedric, did you play any instruments? Did you play any sports? Was there anything like that you had to kind of prepare yourself for?
No, like the only thing I play is the GitHub. And
GitHub.
And to be honest, like back in the days when I did like customer success at Expo, I was mostly focusing on issues, right? So every week after the weekend, I had this routine of like slapping myself in the face and then forcing myself to go through the issues. But that has been way better nowadays. So
that's good. Yeah. But you've given talks, right? Like in front of, and I find that having a little bit of a routine before a talk, like going on to stage, can really be helpful. For me, it really comes down to how much have I practiced. If I've practiced a lot, then, two things really. It's more, how much have I practiced, and do I have a good opening line? If I have a good opening line, I just can't wait to deliver it. And so then it's more anticipation. And so that opening line, which by the way, I'm very bad at coming up with. Usually I have to ask for help, Gant or Darren Wilson has given me some really good ones from our team. People like that who are great speakers. They'll give me like, okay, yeah, here's a good opening line. And then I'm like into it. But yeah, for this podcast, it's not even live.
We're on a podcast?
We are on a podcast. Yeah. It's about sports mostly.
Yeah. Let's just keep it going.
Sports bar.
It's good. It's good.
But for the podcast, I do have to get myself in that mental state because, we record in the morning. There's like messages coming in and out, and
you just
my mind
dropped
is
your
like
kids
scattered.
off at school. You're like,
I know,
transitioning from home mode to work mode.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, we're here. Maybe that was enough preparation for me. Let's get going.
This was all Jamon trying to get himself ready.
That is true. Yeah, this helped. I'm Jamon. She's Robin, and he's Mazen. And we also have Cedric with us, my Dutch son, who is joining us for the second time, I think, on the podcast. Is that right?
Hell yeah.
So you were on the show, I think we released in December an episode about the debugger, the new debugger. And you may have been on before. I don't remember exactly, but I think, anyway, you were on fairly recently, actually, of course. And you're on to talk about another tool here, which is going to be a lot of fun, another kind of developer tool. But, how you doing? And can you reintroduce yourself to our audience again?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me again. My name is Cedric. I have worked at Expo for over 5 years now. Originally doing all kinds of customer success, but now just engineering and making sure that the stuff we make actually is useful, that is related to the CLI, to the SDK, to anything that is even remotely considered to be a developer tooling. So yeah, I'm based in Amsterdam, for the people who didn't know, but I'm fairly sure like most people actually know that already.
Awesome. Yeah. And it's awesome to have you back on. Let me really quick do our sponsor read. Our sponsor today is Infinite Red. Infinite Red is a premier React Native consultancy. And, I've started thinking that we should say React Native and Expo consultancy, because some people they're thinking less this is React Native and thinking more this is Expo. So I might rewrite that little piece there. A premier React Native and Expo consultancy.
You guys heard it first. This was edited live.
We're rebranding.
Wow.
Trying it out on our audience.
The moment that we rebranded.
Yeah. Let's see if the normal silence we get from our audience changes in some way. We are located fully remote in the US. We're a team of about 30 senior plus level React Native and Expo developers, and have been doing this for almost a decade. So if you're looking for React Native or Expo expertise, I need to probably really think about how that sounds. Okay, anyway, just hit us up, infinite.red/radio. There's also an infinite.red/expo page that we put a lot of time into, and nobody visits that page on our website for some reason. And
go visit. This is your sign. Go visit it right now.
Spend a lot of time on it.
We need some stats. Come on.
Right. Yeah. Let's pump those numbers up. All right. Let's get into our topic. We're talking with Cedric. We are going to be talking about Expo Atlas, which is a developer tool that Expo created, and Cedric had a pretty big hand in. So looking forward to this one.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I kind of want to start us off with is, as React Native developers in the community, we've we've whined a lot about the lack of developer tools over the years, right? It's something
we're
that
whiny. We're a really whiny.
we're very
bunch.
whiny. Yeah, throwing tantrums all the time. But with the new debugger and now Expo Atlas, we're starting to run out of excuses because we're kind of closing the gap to all the different native tools that are out there. First of all, I think before we kind of dive into it deeper, can you give us an elevator pitch for what is Expo Atlas?
Yeah, of course. So Expo Atlas is basically a tool to remove the unknowns around Metro. Like back in the days at Expo, we didn't really interact with Metro much on a level that we do now, where we actually add new features to Metro that is required for features like React Server components or for tree shaking. And we never really had like any way to debug our work ourselves. So basically, Atlas helps you pull back the curtain around the Metro bundler. Basically, the inner workings and what will come out of your code.
I've seen the live demo of it there's one on LinkedIn that Evan did, and then there's the one that you did at App.js. Super amazing. It's this like interactive tool, and like you don't have to go digging for the files that it's showing you because you can just like click on it and it shows you like where it's a really, really awesome tool. Yeah, I was super impressed.
We heard that, and maybe you can corroborate this. We heard that Atlas was started.
Sorry.
You covered my note.
My bad.
Forgot what I was talking about.
My
He's
bad.
moving stuff around in our notes.
Did I seriously just cover it?
I think so.
There's,
I don't even know
there's
where
an
it went.
image in the notes and she was
Oh, no.
dragging it around and it covered.
And my screen was just
Mazen's
jumping.
I was just trying to see it bigger. All right. That was
Off
was
to a
not
great
bad.
start.
No, and I just got caught off guard because this image just blew up on my screen.
Oh my goodness. All right, I'm done.
Oh, that's funny.
I'll start that again.
I really hope the editors keep that in because that's hilarious.
So we heard, and hopefully you can corroborate this, that Atlas was actually started as an internal tool that you all did over the holidays. I mean, why do you want to create another tool to then have to maintain it? Like, what was so painful that led you to start building this? What were the challenges?
I mean, yes, like what you just said is true. Like I think it was Evan who originally came up with the idea after we were trying to figure out how we could actually get RSC or server-driven UI into Metro itself. Like it was out there for React, it wasn't out there for React Native, and it was definitely not out there for Metro. But in order to do that, like we actually had to, bundle for multiple targets. We have to change the way like how the variable transpolations are being run. We have to change so much, so incredibly a lot, that we actually had to have a way to inspect what is coming out of the whole system. And without it, we wouldn't have been able to even work on RSC in general. It's just such a pain to having to open the raw Metro output, which is just like bundled up CJS in definition functions. But like there is no relation between them. Like now in Expo, we also have something we call the stable module IDs, but even like separate modules were just numbers. Like you could not trace that down to the actual files. So after like running into a lot of frustration about things that just didn't work, we ended up creating and eventually open sourcing like Expo Atlas that does exactly what we needed for those use cases.
Were you finding that like the existing tools that were out there? I mean, there's things like CallSec has Bundle Visualizer. I know there's a couple others. Were you finding that the existing tools were like deficient in specific ways?
Yes. So as you might know, Metro also has some of a track history with source maps, right? Mm-hmm. So something was created already by, I think, Eisere Hein, which is like an old coworker of mine. He also used to work at Expo. He created Bundle Visualizer, specifically based on source maps. And then CallStack actually have one as well that is also based on source map. But the source maps do not include everything. And especially like the things that that are generated on the fly, like for example, a virtual module that we also have in Expo. You don't really you cannot really translate that back with a source map. And besides the source map, which is targeted towards a single platform, Metro has so much more information. For every platform, we collect all the information separately. That's not really easy by using just the source map, because then the user would need to download, create a source map and then load them in separately, which is kind of a pain if you have to do it for every platform individually. And lastly, the source maps are just not always accurate. We saw this a while ago with the debugging. Well, Meta and us eventually came up with a better version of it, but it's still not always 100% accurate, I would say. It's 99% now. But yeah, it's just, if you use the raw data from Metro instead of using the source map data, you will get way more accurate and way more complete information out of Metro.
Oh, that's super interesting. It makes me wonder, how you guys were the first ones to think of doing this. It's pretty crazy.
I mean, it makes me wonder as well. We actually before we I think just before we announced Atlas at App.js, we actually showed it to a few people at Meta, and they were surprised that they haven't thought of it. They actually said that as well.
Oh wow, this is really smart.
Yeah. It's actually useful as well.
Yeah.
It sounds like it took a specific thing that you were trying to achieve, which was React server components, to really motivate you. Okay, we have this really specific need, and so we need to build this tool for that need. And I guess that kind of need hadn't occurred to anyone yet.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was just that we had to work on the bundling, because server-driven UI RSC it's just bundling magic basically. But it's not the only thing. We also had to do, or we have some version of tree shaking, and we also can target servers now. So there are plenty of things that we had to use proper debugging tools around the bundler itself. It's just us working on the bundler that gave us the idea of let's actually make tools that helps us.
Yeah, totally. I love these types of tools because it really, I mean, actually, I have a question here. Just let's go back to the basics. In what ways does having a smaller JavaScript bundle, how does that affect the app? Let's say you have a gigantic JavaScript bundle. Where does that show up? How do you notice that in an app?
With Hermes, that isn't really a thing anymore, right? So Hermes compiles or transpiles all the code to bytecode, which is a more efficient version of the JavaScript code that Hermes can just almost instantly parse and execute. But not every React Native app is actually using Hermes, right? There are some that still uses JSC for some reason or for some limitation. React Native can also make websites, and we don't really have Hermes in the browser. So you will definitely notice it if you just open your app on web. That's for sure. It can be, it can take a while for everything to start, or there are some other complications, but that's probably where you notice it the first.
And I also think if you're seeing a package or a third-party package larger than React Native or even Expo, you might want to rethink that package. Why are you importing all of Lodash? No offense, Lodash, it's a great tool. Why are you importing all of that when it's coming out to be larger than React Native here? I don't know why I picked on Lodash. It's not bigger than React Native, but still, it's a good
one of the biggest JavaScript libraries.
Yeah,
it is one of the biggest ones. Yeah, you're right. That's probably why. It's always one of the first things that we're wait, are we doing Lodash right or not? I don't know. It's always a pain point. But yeah, if you see a box larger than React Native or Expo, you might want to dig into that box and be do I really need you here to take up all this space?
Yeah, and it's also not just space, right? So when you bundle your whole app, the transpilations happen per target, but also per platform. It's heavily cached, so if the settings are the same, then Metro basically reuses the old cache. But having all those files in your app also means they have to be bundled. They have to be transpiled. So that's why some people complain about Metro being slow, but like if you actually benchmark it, it's actually one of the more the fastest bundlers out there right now.
And speaking about Metro, like you, Jamon and I actually, and you were there, Cedric, at React Universe last year. We remember, if you were there, you remember, even on the live stream, Eli White kind of interrupted the show and kind of went on stage and was like, look, I kind of want to give kudos to the Metro team. They were able to make Metro 6 times faster, right then and there. I think they released it while we were in the middle of the conference or something, which was great. Is it true that Expo Atlas was involved within that process, in some way, shape, or form? And if so, like how?
I wouldn't say it's directly involved, but it is in the category where we basically went on to actually inspect what Metro is doing, right? So one of the first things that came out of Atlas, like right away internally, was that the way React, like the React package itself, is split up into the production and development renderers, isn't really recognized by Metro, or at least was. So without anyone knowing, without anyone noticing, we actually always ship both the development and the production renderers for React. So that was kind of a mind opener for me. Like, okay, so if that's the case, then what else is there more? So we did a full deep dive into what Metro is doing, but Atlas only is involved in the scope of what Metro is doing. Then we also did some follow-up benchmarking and profiling around what Metro is doing in the later stages, like the resolution, or another parts of the whole bundler. And it turns out that I think Evan again found that even though it looks like Metro was always busy, the stages between resolution and transformation was actually becoming idle. So what we saw is that there were holes in the whole flame graph. And that turned out to be that the resolution was actually impacted. So that was slower than usual, while we anticipated that transformation was actually the most weighty one. So that one was actually executed by separate workers. Now here, this is where it comes in, where Metro actually got faster, because Evan and Rob and a few others, they all just sat down and thought, if resolution is this slow as well, what else is being the bottleneck here? I think eventually it turns out that the crawling mechanism used within Metro to create a copy of your file map, like your IO, the crawling mechanism was just not efficient. And that has been improved recently. The announcement was there. I think there is some more, I think Rob Hogan actually made some more improvements around crawling and watching. So right now with React Native 79, it's fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I wouldn't say Atlas is involved directly into that.
We heard through the grapevine that there was an app that actually a friend of mine who's been on the show, he works at Backpack, which is it's like a crypto wallet exchange, something, I don't know. I haven't looked into it too much, but it's kind of interesting because their whole approach was that they were going to go work with the, all of the regulatory government agencies across the world and ask them, what do you want? What would be an ideal crypto exchange, and build that, which was obviously not what everybody else was doing. They were all doing what can we get away with? Kind of an interesting app, but they're kind of one of the bigger ones out there. And the rumor is that they cut their bundle size by 38% in just a couple days when they started previewing Atlas. I asked Peter, he wasn't sure if he could give me any more information, publicly, but he did confirm that this happened. So that's a pretty cool success story. I mean, 38% is not too shabby. I mean, that's a pretty good chunk. It makes it obviously easier to just download from the App Store. It takes up less room on your device. Will load, even with Hermes, I'm sure, a little bit faster. And why have a bunch of code you're not using? Why ship a bunch of code you're not using, as well as the development experience? If you can cut down on all the bundling time and whatnot. So I thought that was a pretty cool success story for sure. And I think more apps can. I mean, really, it's just getting it in front of people, and those boxes, the large boxes that show up, and the information that you get. Especially the live real time stuff.
That's what I like. I'm just like the bundle update or the bundle size improvements are obviously super impressive, and that's like why you use the tool. But like the actual UI of the tool is super fascinating to me, and I'm super curious what that was like to build and like what the challenges were with getting it to update live. So if you haven't used Atlas, if you change anything in your app, Atlas will update live. Like if you like remove an import of Lodash or something, you can see that box going away. Like what were the biggest challenges in actually building the tool itself, especially that like live update piece?
Oh yeah, that's a fun question as well. So Atlas is basically built into the CLI, like the Expo CLI. So it has direct access to the Metro instance. Because of that, I initially hooked it directly into the same system that HMR used, like the hub module reloading.
Mm-hmm.
But without me noticing it at first, and then showing it to some people at Meta, I kind of like messed up the whole HMR system by doing so. It's like the way the internals worked is that whenever you attach or like fetch the HMR state, it automatically resets itself. So what I was doing in Atlas is I got a signal that something might have changed, so I'm fetching the HMR status. And then like we got reports that apps won't actually like reload anymore because of Atlas, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, well that's an issue.
That's kind of a deal breaker.
Yeah, so originally everything was just within that same CLI process. But after like running into those initial limitations, we decided to just use the HMR as still, but the client side, because you can have like 5 different clients connected and they all would reload. So there's no limitations there, but it's a little bit more complicated to basically connect the CLI server as a client as well,
right,
to receive those updates. But I mean, we did make it work. There are some like edge cases that are not great still. That, for example, like the HMR event contains the changed file paths. So whenever that happens, we know that we need to like fetch more new information from those paths. But those paths sometimes do not align with what you would expect, causing it to like behave unexpectedly. Like you would normally, like you would get an event and then it will actually refer to a path that is not even included in the bundle. So then it might get panicky. For now, we just disable those updates if they come in. But that was an interesting find to actually go through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it sounds like building it into the CLI or into like the Expo CLI itself really unlocked a lot of things that you could do that you wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, basically, what we wanted to do with Atlas is just to gain information or insights into Metro itself, and for that, we do have to have like access to Metro. But the way it's actually running now is it's basically Expo API routes hosted within the CLI. It's kind of an inception, but it also helps us dogfooding that part really well. It works great though.
So I think looking on the Expo docs, Atlas is marked as unstable still. What's left to improve for Atlas for you to be able to take it out of the unstable flag? And, what's the future for Atlas look like as of today?
So that's a good question. Like, we are actually working or finalizing SDK 53 right now. And that is the first version where we renamed the environment variable, calling it unstable.
Oh, okay. So it's almost stable.
I mean, it has been stable for a while now,
right.
But we
officially stable.
Really officially,
right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
You're gonna tell people that it's stable.
No, I mean, like if we're gonna say something is stable, it also has
right. You have to be really sure.
Yeah.
Right. It has to have been stable for a while. So like
exactly. Yeah. So I mean, like I forgot exactly which SDK version it came out with, but we had that version of Expo, and I think then another one where it's still unstable. And the main reason for that is because we directly read the Metro data, some of them which are just plain like straight out internals, which is like not supposed to be public information, or at least like the API might change without notice. we wanted to have like a few SDK versions where we just try it out and see if that happens frequently. And none of the updates actually broke anything. So we're fairly confident that it just works.
That's great. I have an idea. I just thought of this while we were recording. When you push a build to EAS, what if it just kicked off an Atlas analyzation and had it available as a web page? So you don't even have to run it locally. You just have EAS open and push it up, and then this is a web tool, right? So you could just have it up there and see it change for each build. Obviously, it's not changing in real time with development, but it would still be kind of interesting. And also combined with that, it would be really cool to have a little like an AI analyzer that's like looking at over the course of builds, how the bundle is changing based on the information from Atlas, which could be presented in an LLM friendly way, so that it could pop up. Hey, I noticed that you just added a gigantic
Lodash
dependency. You added Lodash. Don't ever add Lodash. Just stop using Lodash completely. I know there's ways to optimize it, but just don't. And it could have opinions, right? And kind of give you some ideas. So a couple ideas there for you. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like that's exactly what let's say a lot of other people internally at Expo actually have said already.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, there are other priorities right now for us.
Sure. Yeah.
But this has been brought up before, where like on any like just full out build, we just slap in the Atlas data somewhere and then make it accessible. It's like the only reason why we haven't done it yet is because Atlas was still a little bit unstable. Well, I mean, like I just explained, it's technically unstable, but not really.
Yeah.
And the other part is that it will generate such an amount of data that we probably have to think about like if we can even cover the cost for that. Because like
true.
On every like just a simple basic Expo app, right? The default template. I think it generates per platform around 25 MB. And that is like not even adding like big libraries or anything.
I did not realize it was that much. Yeah, that is quite a bit.
Yeah, that's just per platform, right? So if you build for both platform and Android, you easily go to the 50 MB. So
yeah. I could see that not being very attractive, just especially if nobody's looking at them.
Yeah, exactly. And well, besides that, like it tracks so much data, like both the source, the output, the transpiled output. It tracks so much that we might be able to do it, but then in a different way to how we store it. Like instead of storing the actual raw metro graph, we could store like derivatives of that, where we just calculate it up front and then tell you that.
That makes sense. Or just like literally like the HTML of the graph or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. But I could see it being a really useful tool for React Native developers in Expo developers using EAS for sure.
Even the next GitHub action, right? Publishing it to your pull request or something like that.
Right.
So you can visualize it within there, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Slap Puppeteer
Awesome.
and it's good to go. Yeah.
There you go.
And I mean, this just at the end of the day, this is just about having more insight into what's happening under the hood and having these tools that are well designed, well thought through, designed specifically for React Native. I mean, this is one of the things that, like, I asked Charlie one time, I was like, why is EAS just focused on React Native? Like, you could totally just have native app stuff in here too, right? Like, you could build native apps and have a lot of cool stuff. And he's like, I get that, but we want to provide like the best possible React Native experience, and we can't do that if we have other focuses, right? As the team size you are. So just being really, really good at React Native is the whole point of it, which I as a company that we do is React Native, I appreciate that approach. And it's hard to do because like most of the time you're looking at like, addressable market goes gigantic if I can do everything, but focus is important, and Expo's been, such a huge deal for the React Native community.
Yeah, like for sure. I fully agree with that. It's super hard to make like a tool that is very specialized for general purpose. Like it's barely not doable. It's just pretty much impossible. Like we actually at Expo like a while ago when we started, we had this Omni modules where we actually created modules that could run both on React Native but also Flutter. That was so hard to do right that we eventually just decided to let's just focus on one first before we before we dive into everything.
Yep.
Flutter can do that to you sometimes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think that's all we have time for. There's a lot more to Expo Atlas, and you should go watch the talks and all the different, you should go read the documentation.
We'll put everything in the show notes.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of stuff in there. Go check it out and just start using it. It's really, really cool to see it. And you might pop it open and be like, wait, what? We're shipping that? Like, why? How is that getting in there? Like, I thought,
if that happens to you, tell us about it on Twitter.
That would be amazing. Yeah, that would be awesome. Love to see that. Thanks for coming on, Cedric. Really appreciate it as always.
Thanks for having me.
Always a lot of insight. Yeah, no, you're an awesome guest. Where can people find you online?
They can always find me on Twitter. Yes, I'm still calling it Twitter.
I refuse to call it anything else.
That is Cedric_dev. But you can also find me on Blue Sky, of course, which is cedric.dev.
Perfect.
Which is that domain that you wanted.
Yeah.
It is true. Yeah. You know what? You're using it better than my son would. So, he's got other priorities right now. But
fair enough.
All right. You can, if you want to nerd out more about React Native, check out community.infinite.red. It's a Slack community with thousands of React Native developers and Expo developers in there. And also you can follow React Native Radio at React Native RDIO on Twitter. I think we're also on, we on Blue Sky?
We're on Blue Sky.
Yeah, we're on Blue Sky. Yeah. Probably reactnativeradio.com. I don't know.
Whatever. Jed and Todd usually do this outro too. So
just search it. You'll find it. You can find me at Jamon Holmgren or over on Blue Sky, jamon.dev. Robin is at Robin Heinz with an E, no underscore anymore. And Mazen is at Mazen Chami. So you can connect with all of us. We always appreciate hearing how you enjoy our episodes. Also, go give us a rating on the App Store, the podcast app, or whatever you're using, Spotify,
I always
whatever.
forget that's a thing, but yeah, it helps boost like visibility in the algorithm.
Yeah, I mean, we put a lot of effort into these episodes.
And it's literally the only way we can get feedback because there's no comments on podcasts.
I know.
So if you love it, just like go leave a review and it'll make us really happy.
Oh, we read them. Absolutely, we do.
Don't write mean things though. Please.
We should be.
You can write mean things.
No,
it's
don't
okay.
write mean things.
Just put us 5 stars.
Constructive things.
Put 5 stars and then write your mean thing.
We'll take a mean comment with 5 stars.
If only there was tooling to actually help you get those comments, right? For the App Store.
Yeah,
it's
right?
It's called YouTube, but
I know, we
aren't
YouTube.
Brave enough to do. We are on YouTube, technically.
It's just audio only.
Our audio is on YouTube.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it. We'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
As always, thanks to our editor, Todd Worth, our assistant editor, Jed Bartosky, our marketing and episode release coordinator, Justin Husky, and our guest coordinator, Mazen Chami. Our producers and hosts are Jamon Holmgren, Robin Hines, and Mazen Chami. Thanks to our sponsor, Infinite Red. Check us out at infinite.red/radio. A special thanks to all of you listening today. Make sure to subscribe to React Native Radio on all the major podcasting platforms.